Hello, everyone. Um, Thank you for tuning in again to Conversations on Surviving Our Seasons. My name is Stephanie Whitaker, and I'm your host. And today I want to introduce to you a young woman who came into my life about 16 weeks ago as my physical therapist from Athletico Physical Therapy. And I'll give you a little history about how I came upon her. Kate Hillier is a physical therapist, mostly focused on pregnancy and postpartum corrective exercise for women who may be experiencing some kind of overactive bladder or bladder dysfunction. So I'll tell you how I came upon her. I had, for a long period of time, been experiencing symptoms of overactive bladder, even when I thought that I was way too young to experience them. So it had gone on for years. And I had seen gynae specialists and gynae uro specialists and uro specialists. And finally, the last doctor that I saw, after taking different types of medication that were on the market, referred me to a surgeon. To which I took a pause and I was like, okay, that can't be my story. And I have to go back to my primary care physician and talk about some other options. And so along that same period of time, I was having some other physical therapy for an injury that I had to my ankle. And I did have some surgery on my ankle, which sort of took me really out of pocket down to I was not able to walk for a long period of time. So I was a patient who had dealt with overactive bladder for a long period of time. Then I had surgery and I couldn't walk. Not only could I not get to the bathroom in a hurry, I couldn't walk at all without some help. And I just did not want to have another surgery at the point where the final doctor that I'd seen, the urologist that I'd seen, said, well, I can refer you to another specialist and maybe they can talk to you about surgery. And that just was not something that I wanted. And the physical therapy that I'd had on my ankle, the person who did that referred me to Kate. And we shared several phone calls, and I read a lot about the type of physical therapy that she did. And I said, I can do this. This has to be able to help me. I'm tired of taking the different medications. I'm tired of being sort of dependent on knowing where all the restrooms are on every route or every meeting that I had. And so when I met with her and we had a short conversation about what it was likely I was experiencing. And I was sold. I was sold. And for the next, I think it was 6 weeks first, and then another 12 weeks, that I was able to undergo physical therapy with her. It was miraculous how my body treated itself with doing the exercises and the sort of tools that sort of erased what was happening to my body over a number of years. So I wanted to invite Kate to talk with me and to talk with you about what I went through and what other women go through who may be dealing with overactive bladder or some anatomical alteration after childbirth and other ailments which may create a problem where they're experiencing a sensation of wanting to go to the bathroom all the time because it's just not fun. So Kate, thank you so much for agreeing to be a part of this. If you want to introduce yourself and give our audience a little bit more information, I'd appreciate that. Thanks.
Of course. I'm honored to be here on this podcast. Um, Yeah, so as Stephanie said, I'm a physical therapist and I also manage Athletico clinic in the South Loop on Archer. And I've been a physical therapist for over 8 years now, but I only started getting into the public health specialty over the last couple years. And I honestly wish I did it sooner because it's just so eye-opening for me even. Um, I was more of a general practitioner and I had some other specialties, but it wasn't until public health until I really fell in love with that population and really took off with it. And that's my primary caseload right now. And just hope it continues that way into the future. And there's a lot involved with it. So yeah, the type of patients I see, it's really across the board related to pelvic health. As Stephanie mentioned, some of them are seeing me for bladder issues, but it's not just that. Sometimes it is just that, but sometimes it's other things or a combination, including even bowel issues, as well as pain. And so those are kind of the three categories, and then it branches off from there. I do see a big pregnancy population, but also postpartum or no pregnancy whatsoever. So it really could be anyone. I also treat males. Males have pelvic floors too, similar to females, slightly different. But I am exploring that population a little bit more now, and it's very rewarding to be able to help more people in that way. So yep, regarding the bladder, it could be overactive. So having an urgency issue, having to go too frequently, and even having incontinence. Those are all things that I can help with on the bladder side. And the good thing is the bladder is trainable. So as Stephanie found out, um, you need hope. You can have hope, and just getting to know your body in that way, in that part. For a while, that this whole topic has been taboo. I would say people didn't want to talk about it. It can be very embarrassing to even go that way, go that route. But it's becoming more out there in the public, and I hope it only continues to be more out there. Um, in all aspects, in doctors' offices, just in the community, and just accessible information out there on the web too.
One
Go
of the
ahead.
things that I was beginning to see as I was seeing doctors and seeking treatments and trying to understand what was going on with my body, um, all of the ads on television had become um, Depends garments, or every other medication was about incontinence. And so I kept saying to myself, well, I don't need that. And I don't have incontinence, until I began to read more and more and more. And as I was taking different medications, they weren't working. And so lots of friends or were suggesting some sort of naturopathic
Mhm.
types of medications, or more natural um, medications or foods, sunflower seeds, um, that I could add to meals that were going to help me overcome this. And so, I was a little desperate and a lot embarrassed about what I was experiencing. Um, but I knew that there had to be something that didn't land me necessarily on um, a surgical table. And I know people who absolutely needed to have surgery for, like, the bladder sling. That's what I was hearing a lot about, to reposition their bladder after a difficult childbirth or a difficult labor or something like that. And when this first started, I definitely thought that I could do that, because I had known lots of successful um, surgeries that had happened to friends of mine, or other acquaintances. Um, the other thing was, but when I saw the doctor who was recommended to me, and this was very early on, this is 4 or 5 years ago, the doctor said my bladder was fine. It was in perfect position. It didn't seem to have any problems. So I'm like, okay, so I'm not a candidate for that. Then how do I fix this? And so then it was just a whole stream of different medications that I just didn't feel right about taking them. Um, every time you put some other product in your body, just something else would happen. All of a sudden, my blood pressure was up, or my glucose numbers were increasing. I'm like, well, is this a symptom of the medicines that I'm taking, or is there something else that's going on? So I was changing my diet and working out more, and nothing was happening or helping until I came to you. And I did. When it started to work, every session I was coming to you saying, I don't know what is happening. I don't know if it's in my mind or my body, but I am feeling so much better and so much more in control of something, simple as, you know, learning to go to the bathroom again, and to hold my bladder, that kind of thing. Uh, so yeah, I'm happy that you mentioned that you meet your patients in that are at various ends of this spectrum. But all the commercials, all of the ads that you see everywhere, they're just pushing sort of this catering to being not really solving the issue,
Right,
but dealing
essentially.
with dealing with it. So
Mhm,
again, I turn
mhm.
it back over to you
Yes,
to talk
that
about
that
our
is very
treatments
aggravating.
and talk about some of the
Mhm.
treatments that you took me through, and maybe some other
Okay.
patients that you deal with.
Sure, definitely. Um, yeah, it's really starting basic, and Stephanie, as you mentioned, it's like learning what was automatic before and not so automatic anymore, which is tough. It takes a lot of focus and consistency and just relearning these patterns that you've never had to think about before, such as breathing.
Mhm.
Breathing it has such an impact on the bladder, and if you develop kind of the reverse breathing patterns over time, that can put you in a disadvantage as far as managing your bladder and control with that. So it's something as simple as it sounds simple, but not always. But it's really just the method of um, inhaling and exhaling on exertion. So that's basically the key, and implementing that with exercise or with activities that you do on a daily basis, such as lifting your laundry basket. If you're constantly holding your breath, which is easier to do, and a lot of people do that, and that's more natural to them. That will build up pressure internally, and if there's any ounce of bladder irritancy or weakness there, that's going to add more pressure to it and can cause that, whether it's an urgency, a frequency, or even incontinence. So, yeah, Stephanie, I know we worked on that a lot, me and you. So I don't know if you have more comments on how much energy and just effort, consciousness it took in the beginning um, to just get that pattern down, and
It,
then
it was
from
it was
there, yeah.
hard because it was counterintuitive
Yeah.
to um, the breathing exercise of holding my breath and then releasing my breath while holding the pelvic muscles tight. It was very counterintuitive at first, because a lot of exercises that you learn, they'll say, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. But you're not engaging that pelvic floor area, which I learned from you is 16 different muscles in that
Mhm.
area that control that type of urge or not. And
Mhm.
so it's not just about controlling the urge, but having the strength to do that. So all of the exercises, and at first the exercises were really hard, and I'm just saying I was a little out of shape. But those exercises almost every day for 16 weeks. I haven't taken the medication in forever since I went off the medicines a long time ago. Uh, but in my brain, there is this mechanism that has just been sort of shut off. It's like, oh, I've been sitting for the last 5 hours, or I've been out shopping for all day and I haven't had to find the restroom yet. And those are the kinds of things that went, oh, this is working. Um, and I said, I've got to tell the world about this, because if after all of these years, depending on medications and other types of doctor intervention, and then finding this, more women should be told this, quite frankly, early on, you know. So I want to share this information um, with my friends and with those women or guys who are in need of this kind of help. Um, and if you've got good health insurance, and if you want to keep good health insurance, I will turn this into a political platform, but if you've got good health insurance, it is covered by my health insurance and probably several health insurance plans. Um, I I believe that I have to believe that the insurance companies don't necessarily want people to have surgery if they can be somewhat healed by going through physical therapy. That that's what worked for me. Um, and it's all ranges. I mean, the patients that I see you with in the clinic are of all age ranges. And what I was really able to and happy to see is that the training that you have, you are able to give to others. You had an intern from Emory that
Yes.
was with you for 10 weeks. And so
Mhm.
she got to uh, experience caring for a patient like me. And so she got to see your work and learn from your training in her training here. So when she went back to Emory, she was prepared in a different way. And she had probably seen several patients or several types of patients that she may not have seen before. So I think that's a wonderful benefit of what you do for Athletico, um, that you are teaching young people who are entering the physical therapy arena. Um, so I think that's a blessing. And so tell me a little bit more about your training, maybe, and
Yeah.
that will give people a good idea of why they should seek care in an arena like that.
Oh
Sorry.
yeah, definitely. No, you're good. Yeah, so well, starting off at the very beginning, I went to DePaul University for my undergrad. This was several years ago. Majored in biology, kept it kind of broad. I always knew I was going to go into physical therapy for the most part, but still wanted to keep my options open. And then upon graduating, got right into physical therapy school. And for that, I had an opportunity to go out northeast to New Hampshire at Franklin Pierce University. So I did my physical therapy doctoral degree there. And then came back to Chicago. That's where all my family is. And it's kind of hard to be that far away for too much longer. So yeah, once I got back to Chicago, I started pretty broad in my training. I kind of wanted to soak everything in, see everything possible that was out there, and then bit by bit year after year, started to do my specializations. Um, so some of those are also vestibular and TMD treatment or TMJ. So and honestly, the TMJ part, we can go on a whole soapbox about how that's related to the pelvic floor because it really is and can be because of especially people who hold a lot of tension in their pelvic floor who have pain there. Um, the w- the going up the chain is affected, which is the jaw here. So people who tend to be clenchers tend to also be clenchers down there. So I found like huge connection with both of those specialties, which was kind of happy little accident.
Mhm.
um, so yeah, and then I went through my pelvic health training through Herman and Wallace. That's a very intensive self study slash in person training where we're literally practicing on other clinicians and doing internal exams so we can really feel what the muscles are feeling like and being able to cue giving feedback on where muscles are and where maybe tension points are and kind of letting go, or the opposite. Or let's say there's not a whole lot of tone or engagement, giving that biofeedback to be able to activate um, so that you can have better bladder control and support. Some people have incontinence for stress, meaning physical stress added, whether it's a cough or a sneeze or a laugh or jumping, running, that sort of thing. So um, that's something that we can test for and start to train for and gradually progress up into over time. Um, so yeah.
Are there lots of therapists with Athletico who have your specialty?
Let's just say we're growing,
Okay.
but there's a whole lot more room to grow. So in our just particular region in the Southwest Chicagoland area, um, only about a handful of us. So yeah, there's definitely a need, and that's actually honestly how I first got into pelvic health. Was I moved to this clinic as a manager and I replaced a clinician who did pelvic floor PT.
Oh, okay.
And then when she left, there was no one to do it unless I or someone else stepped in. And I figured, you know what, let's just go for it. um, I was coaxed into it a little bit by my manager, but I really am glad that she did that because it's really been the missing puzzle piece to even my some of my other patients that I've been treating different conditions because so much is related.
Mhm.
But just think about the back, and the back is connected to the pelvis. So a lot of people who experience low back pain a lot of times have pelvic things going on. So I've been able to bridge that gap in a huge way and help even more. Mhm.
And the exercises that you introduced me to absolutely have helped me develop more strength in my core.
Mhm.
Um, and I'm trying to keep up with that work now that I'm not seeing you as a regular client, but I
Mhm.
am keeping up those exercises as often as possible because I know that they help. Um, and I also know that, and I've been traveling a lot this summer, um, that if I stop doing the exercises, all of a sudden I'm like, I think that something is happening, but
Mhm.
so
Mhm.
I'm motivated to continue the work and
Mhm.
the tools that you've given me to make myself better, to heal myself. And the
Mhm.
other thing that I needed over this 4 years after COVID was to really get back in the gym and to just overall change my health and my
Mhm.
health numbers.
Mhm.
So that has absolutely helped me refocus my mindset. It has made me happier. Um, Yeah, I didn't
Mhm,
realize how much my body had changed over the past
mhm,
years. Um,
mhm,
and I look at pictures and I'm like, that's not me. But we got to fix that.
mhm,
Um, and I'm in a better frame of mind to do that. So,
mhm,
um, I'm grateful for your care. I'm
mhm,
grateful for um, the positivity that you showed with me. And,
mhm,
I've seen you work with other patients in the clinic, and
mhm,
um, the benefit of arriving to something other than surgery uh,
mhm,
was really important to me. Um, and I will add that when I first met you, you were in the clinic where I was having um, more muscular adjustments, because I
mhm,
just think I had my knee surgery. That's some years
mhm,
ago. I think it was about
mhm,
8 years ago. And then when I met you again at the other location, I was like, I know you. And we realized that we had met once upon a time before.
mhm,
Um,
mhm,
so I felt at ease, because it is something
mhm.
that, that's going on with a part of your body that most people are extremely private about.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm,
as was I. But I learned so much from you, and your training, and um, how you talked to me about my body and exactly
mhm,
what was going on. And you showed me these diagrams, and I was like, oh, and I was taking pictures of all those
mhm,
diagrams.
mhm.
Um, but everything has been extremely helpful. Um, can you talk about, if this is you said that this is an increasing um, therapy with
Mhm,
patients, that they are seeking you
mhm,
out, or seeking this kind of therapy out. And I'm really happy
mhm,
to learn that everybody's not going down the medicine route,
mhm,
because
mhm,
I can't tell you right now what those medicines were doing. I don't know if they were working in my
mhm,
mind or my lower body.
mhm, mhm,
But after a short period of time, those different medicines that I was taking, after a short while, they weren't working anymore.
mhm,
At first, that first couple of weeks, it was just like, oh, I have found the pill, the magic pill.
mhm.
And
Oh, wait a second.
that 11th day is like, wait, something's not working anymore. And
Mhm,
I was taking those medicines every day for a number of years. And
mhm,
I didn't like the thought of that. So I was really trying to seek out something different.
mhm,
And no one suggested this until I had my ankle surgery. And then
mhm,
the physical therapist I was working on for that said, you should call over to um, the
mhm.
Athletico on Archer
Yep,
and talk with Kate, and just talk with her and see what she
right.
might suggest. And
Yep,
so that was my plan. And that's
yep.
it. That's been my story. A much better
Mhm.
story than surgery. I can't even imagine what the surgery would have been at this point.
Right, right,
That
right.
the doctor was suggesting. I was like, what
Yeah,
surgery?
yeah.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
could have been detrimental and more long term. And I
right,
probably still would have ended up in some kind of physical therapy.
right, right. Because there's a whole other recovery to that.
Yeah. But I was determined not to have to do that. And
Mhm,
it was so wonderful to meet you, and all of the physical therapists that I've seen work with patients at Athletico have really been really good.
mhm,
Um, the patients um, are responsive to the tools that you are teaching,
mhm,
and their ability, their accepting their ability to do the exercises and
Mhm.
to help make themselves better by going through the therapy. Um,
Mhm.
I've never encountered any situation where I was like, oh, I don't know if that person is should be doing that, but that's
Mhm.
not why I'm there. I'm there to get myself better.
Mhm.
But the
Mhm.
observations around the space are important. Um,
Mhm.
and it puts me at ease. It put me at ease so that I was willing to really do the exercises and, show myself that I had not lost
Mhm.
all of my abilities. So,
Mhm.
yeah, and then the wall sit was extra, of course.
Oh, yeah.
I just, of course, wanted to join the challenge to do that.
Yes, yes.
I used to
Yep.
work
Mhm.
out with a trainer, and that was always part of the warm up and part
Mhm.
of the final exercises that we would do would be the wall sit.
Oh, well,
And
that makes
and it was
sense.
always 2 minutes. It was always 2 minutes
Wow.
before, 2 minutes after.
Impressive.
So yes, it was good. It's a good exercise. And it's similar to doing the exercise on the ball.
Mhm.
Yeah. So
Definitely.
just when you think you can't. Yes.
Yes, yes. Well, you were a great patient. And a lot of it is, like you said, it's building that rapport and trust with your therapist. If you don't have that from the start, then that's going to be a much rougher road. And it's easier to quit along the way. And knowing like just the process of recovery is important, and knowing that there are setbacks a lot of times along that road, and to not be discouraged, just to keep your head up and know, okay, this is just something that we're gonna have to overcome with consistency, doing the home exercises. And it's not always sunshine and roses every day, but
It is not.
you know, but once we get past that, was it 6 to 8 week mark, then progress was much more clear, and it was a more upward trajectory um, at that point. So,
Mhm.
um, yep, you did everything you needed to. Just had to keep your eye on the prize at the end, and you got there. And I'm
Yes.
here. Sometimes there's tune-ups that are needed too,
Yeah.
and just updating exercises. I'm always happy to send new plans um, or even old ones for those that are lost, so
Mhm.
that we keep patients on track for maintaining their bodies. Just like your car, you need to maintain your body, especially
Need a
as
tune up.
you yes, tune ups.
So just something that I've added to my the exercises that I do for the physical therapy. I am going to be working out with a trainer, a weight trainer. Um,
Mhm.
so I'll be in the gym doing some bar work with
Okay.
with trainer who trains my son.
Mm.
Now that's on a whole nother level. That's on a whole
Okay.
nother level. And I'll be starting at the very beginning with
Mhm.
this program. I used to do weight training, and I had gotten to a level that I was, slightly competitive. Um, but I was doing it a couple years, and I was probably at the best weight that I had ever been.
Mhm.
So this will be new, but it's something that I've added
Mhm.
at least 2 or 3 times a week. We're going to start there, and to
Perfect.
see
Mhm.
if, if I will get back to the point where I can do more explosive exercises. I'm still working on my ankle. Um,
Mhm.
and so jumping up and down right now, that's not for me. Um,
Mhm.
running, not for me. I can walk, um, but the whole explosive motion, the lateral motion, I haven't
Mhm.
regained that. And
Mhm.
so I'm working on that. So we're going to do
Okay.
some, weight training and see how far that takes me. And so
Perfect.
I'll be reporting into you. and there'll
Good.
probably be a podcast about that for my
Love
progress.
to hear that.
But
Yeah.
I was just want to
Chapter two.
encourage other friends and other women, other men, people out there who are trying to make decisions about moving forward through something difficult in their life, and to know that it can be done, that there are people out there that can help you. And when I thought about doing this podcast and calling it Surviving Our Seasons, it was all about just walking through something difficult or walking through some big choice or decision that you make and coming out on the other side and finding people out there that can help you do that. So Kate has been one of my people that has helped me move through something that I was experiencing that I was just overwhelmed with. I mean, everybody who would listen, I'm like, are you going through this? And um, are, do you know about physical therapy? Have you ever heard about this? And um, you should seek out some other alternatives than the medicines, because the medicines just did not work for me. There may be other people who take them longer term, but each time I would start a new medication, 10, 11 days in, that wasn't working. And then the next medication, and the medications were just getting more and more and more expensive. I spent far more on pharmaceuticals than I have spent on physical therapy. And every new medication was just crazy costs. And yeah, I was like, yeah, I can't be doing that too long. But at any rate, I am grateful that you would give me your time and, encourage our audience that physical therapy is something that you offer. It's something that's out there.
Mhm.
And tell them where they can find you. And
Yeah.
yes, and we will also add that to this discussion where they can find you. We'll share your email if that's fine with you.
Perfect. Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
And hopefully, maybe someone will be calling you, said, "Oh, I heard your discussion on surviving our seasons." And
I hope so.
um,
And I can even include some screening questions if you're maybe on the fence about is pelvic health right for you.
right.
You can fill out this questionnaire and it'll tell you your likelihood of at least going in and having a discussion. So
Yes.
I'm happy to also have that. But yeah, you can reach me via email. It's just first name dot last name at athletico.com. I can provide my phone number for the clinic. It's 312-674-9132. My address is 1915 South Archer Avenue. So right on the corner of State and Archer, on the little strip mall there. And yeah, we're also accepting sometimes day of walk-ins. So if you just kind of want to like check out the clinic, see what it even looks like, happy to have you just stop in anytime. We even offer free assessments. So again, if you're on the fence about physical therapy and you just want to have a face-to-face discussion even, we're happy to set that up. And our Athletico overall, we really pride ourselves in getting patients in early. um, so we try to keep our promise of within us 48 to 72 hours of getting you in. A lot of places you're on a wait list. I've heard of some patients needing to wait weeks or even months for physical therapy, which in that time you should be already on your way to
Yeah.
recovery or
And
you're,
healing.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So,
I know after
um,
both my knee surgery and my ankle surgery, different time periods of my life when I was really, really active, um, that after my knee surgery, I think I was in physical therapy the next day. After my ankle surgery, it was more like after I was healing more and able to put a little weight on my ankle. Um,
mhm,
so that was much longer. As a matter of fact, October 5th will be 1 year out of surgery for my ankle. And so that's in
mhm,
a couple days. That
mhm,
wasn't a huge ordeal. So again, I the surmounting of not being able to just get to the bathroom quickly, I couldn't even get up without some
Mhm,
help. And thank
mhm,
goodness my family was nearby to help me through that
mhm,
ordeal, because it was definitely that.
mhm.
But
Yeah, I am in the South Loop, but I know that's not convenient for everyone. But you can look up who are the pelvic health providers um, at all of Athletico locations, and we're across the country now. We're as far south as Texas, and all into the Northeast even. So if you just go on our Athletico website, you can search by specialty, and then it'll pop up locations again that are convenient for you because I know how much people value convenience these days.
absolutely. And you guys have parking, which is a huge convenience.
We do. There are
You have
parks. Yep.
parking. I
Mhm.
like my appointments in the morning, so whenever I
Mhm.
get there, there's always parking.
Mhm.
Um, So, whatever fits your needs, definitely look up Athletico. You can, look up the specialty for their offices, and just set up an appointment and go in and talk to their physical therapist, depending on your needs.
Mhm. Oh, well, thank you.
You're welcome. I appreciate your time. I
Of
appreciate you
course.
joining me for this
Yeah.
discussion on
Mhm.
surviving our seasons. And until
Mhm.
next time.